We've had some amazing presentations this morning, and the purpose of my remarks at this point are really to talk about the Southern States Energy Board, its goals, and what I see that it's able to accomplish in this incredible changing environment. And as it completes its 56th year of service, it's my pleasure to serve as chairman at this meeting today and through the year. The theme of our annual meeting today is the role of states in navigating America's energy economy. And I think that topic is certainly appropriate because of the dramatic changes that we see in our nation's energy supplies, but it also is reflective of the key role that states play, not just in energy policy, but in a whole host of issues. And if you look just at the facts in recent history, as been noted today, we have emerged in our nation from an energy importing country to the world's largest oil supplier, exceeding Saudi Arabia and Russia. Now, I just underscore that point because I'm rather proud of America for doing that. Because many of you remember the campaigns in which people say we're so dependent upon foreign oil. And we reverse that as a country. It shows our intensity, our ability to tackle a problem. No problem is too great for the United States of America. And so whenever we are leading in exports, that is significant. Secondly, unconventional natural gas drilling has opened up such a large resource that prices are through the floor. Supplies have created an enormous potential export market for us. Thirdly, in the area of nuclear energy, 5 new nuclear power plants are being built in the region, so the South will soon supply approximately 50% of the nation's nuclear energy. And then you look at solar and wind technologies the cost has been reduced, and over the past 6 years, the solar industry has added over 115,000 jobs, providing for unprecedented expansion and even more energy diversity. So amid all of these unprecedented changes that we see, we have to keep our focus on the fundamental principle of energy supply, and that is reliability of supply and the affordability of cost. In Arkansas, Kirkley mentioned that I've been busy traveling overseas, recruiting industry to Arkansas, trying to compete with the governors from respective states. And I love the competition that we have. And took me to China. We recruited Sun Paper Company from Shandong province. They made a commitment and an announcement that they're going to build a $1 billion bioproducts facility in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. Now, $1 billion is a lot of money. And they're investing that money because of a couple reasons that are a factor. One, our supply of timber, which is incredible in Arkansas. But secondly, it was logistics as being a key issue, central United States. Thirdly, and this is not in order of preference, it is the cost availability of energy. And if we cannot compete in that arena, then we will not succeed in economic development. So the first key principle in energy policy is to assure the diversity of our energy sources. Unfortunately, Washington does not seem to be happy with this principle, and they'd like to ignore it. Just consider the policy decisions that have been coming recently from the federal government. We have watched our coal industry struggle and almost disappear through an incredibly difficult regulatory burden. As a result, there is an understandable but frustrating reluctance of energy companies to use coal as a source of energy. We also see that even though we have 5 nuclear reactors that are being developed in the South, we also recognize that since October of 2012, U.S. nuclear plant owners have closed or announced the closure of 14 reactor units at 11 plant sites. This is not good. These nuclear plants have been retired not necessarily because they are old, but because of the uncertainty of the marketplace and federal regulations. We need to have certainty in our policies that show the availability and the willingness to accept multiple sources of energy in our country, including nuclear. And then, if approved by the courts, the EPA's Clean Power Plan could require major changes in the energy resources we use and the way we use them. We hope that will be looked upon in a different way by the courts as it's considered by them. But the history of our nation bears out the fact that our states have always played a leading role in the decisions that determine our energy resources. But in the past few years, the federal government has inserted itself into the process of state decision-making and now seeks to determine which energy resources states will use, and also how a regulatory scheme can wrest away power from public service commissions into the hands of the EPA. This is all done under the guise of climate change. In Arkansas, just like many other states, in Arkansas, we produce more energy than we consume, primarily because of an abundance of natural gas resources. Arkansas also has 2 oil refineries, which we're proud of, with a combined total capacity of about 90,000 barrels of sour crude oil per day. As one of the country's top 10 natural gas producers, we have experienced a 6-fold increase in just the past decade. But it's also about hydroelectric power in Arkansas. It's our most commonly used renewable resource, but coal is a primary fuel used for electric generation in this state. We also appreciate, as I've mentioned, the long and stable relationship with nuclear power and the clean air that it provides. In Arkansas, 40% of our state's power is coal. 27% is natural gas. Nuclear is 25%, and hydro is 7%. And so it's a balanced supply, although some of the alternative sources of energy will increase in times in the future. But let me go back about nuclear just for a moment. We get our nuclear power from 3 sources. We have 2 nuclear power plants in Russellville, Nuclear 1 and Nuclear 2. We also receive it from out of state with the Grand Gulf facility located in Mississippi, but we have a contract to receive 20% of our nuclear power from them. And so it's an important part of our energy mix. Building that diversity is a key factor in making sure that our energy resources are available and can meet the needs of our citizens. But today, in the upcoming presidential election, and I will wait with bated breath on the debate tonight about their energy policy positions. Maybe it will come up. But in the presidential election, one of the platforms of a major political party takes a stance against an all-of-the-above energy policy that would promote diversity. I reject that view because I believe as we navigate in the future, we are going to need it all. 27 states have asserted themselves and filed suit against the Clean Power Plan, claiming that the traditional state role is being violated and usurped. The plan was sold to states as a common-sense way to curb pollution from power plants. But the actual results already are jeopardizing our energy security. We're limiting our options, and the costs are substantial for the consumers. When power plants are shut down, what happens? Hundreds of people lose their jobs with a domino effect in the rest of the community. When entire energy industries fail, thousands are out of work and states lose a valuable tax base. But it's also a concern on economic development, as I have mentioned, with the state's success inextricably tied to the availability of energy. And so this is an underlying principle and goal of the Southern States Energy Board's mission: reliability and diversity of energy sources. As part of our mission, we have formalized a carbon management emphasis as a long-term goal. This work began in 2003. That was before me. With extensive oil, coal, and natural gas resources, the region appeared to be on an expanded path to industrial expansion and job development. Just 5 years ago, the southern region relied on coal to supply 45% of its electricity needs. However, this changed markedly in a short period of time due to the discovery and refinement of methods for drilling huge unconventional sources of natural gas and federal regulations that have devastated the growth and stability of the coal industry. So during the past 13 years, the Southern States Energy Board has led and managed the Southeast Regional Carbon Sequestration Partnership. I'll call it CCARB, as it is known by, which is one of 7 partnership efforts developed by the United States Department of Energy. The purpose of these cooperative teams is to identify the sources of carbon dioxide across the United States and portions of Canada and to determine the most promising options for capture technology deployment and CO2 geologic storage. There were 3 phases of the development of the CCARB initiative. The CCARB partners first screened potential CO2 sources and geologic sinks for carbon storage and developed action plans for small-scale demonstrations. After the action plan, the demonstrations, secondly, the team conducted 3 small-scale geologic storage tests in 4 locations and became the first partnership to inject CO2 under an operating coal-fired generating plant. The 3rd phase of the program began in 2007 with a 10-year goal to build an integrated CO2 capture, pipeline transportation, and geologic storage project using post-combustion CO2 captured from a coal-fired power generating facility. This demonstration phase is a $350 million effort by the Southern States Energy Board and its partners and has been so highly successful that the technology is being scaled up and deployed at a Texas power plant scheduled to begin service this year. I think that is a very successful initiative of the Southern States Energy Board. Currently, the CCARB partners are performing environmental monitoring activities required by state permits and assessing the valuable data that has been obtained through the first-of-a-kind project. So CCARB is one of our successes, but the board also enjoys just the relationship with public-private partnerships that can lead to successful joint ventures. In 2016, the board began management of the Southeast Offshore Storage Resource Assessment, a 3-year study of the potential for geologic storage of CO2 in the state and federal waters of the Mid-Atlantic, South Atlantic, and Eastern Gulf of Mexico. In cooperation with the U.S. Department of Energy and universities and companies from across the region, the goal of the program is to develop a high-level approximation of the amount of CO2 that might be stored. Another important issue being addressed by the board is the security of spent nuclear fuel. This security emphasis is the outgrowth of our nation's nuclear non-proliferation policy. The board has worked with the National Nuclear Security Administration and its predecessor agency since the early 1990s by coordinating the planning efforts associated with the return of shipments of used nuclear fuel from foreign countries. And based upon the composition of the fuel, the shipments are destined for either the Savannah River site or the Idaho National Laboratory. For those shipments being transported to the Savannah River site or across country to Idaho, the SSEB relies on the expertise of our Radioactive Materials Committee members to aid in the development of a safe, efficient, and effective transportation campaign. In a similar fashion, we need to continue work on a U.S.-based long-term storage facility for our nuclear waste resulting from our onshore nuclear energy facilities. I was in Congress just a few years ago. Well, it was actually 20 years ago. By the way, the last time I was in Congress was the last time we had a balanced budget in our nation. But when I was in Congress 20 years ago, we were debating the use of Yucca Mountain in Nevada as a disposal site. Nothing has changed in 20 years. The debate continues and a solution has not been developed. And so our Southern States Energy Board needs to encourage further research and technology solutions for this challenge. Perhaps the answer is not transporting waste across country, but rather to develop disposal methods closer to the nuclear facilities. Technology is always the answer. One of the most successful partnerships in board history is the relationship that we share with our associate members, the many industry, business partners, utilities, universities, and other government entities that are key to finding solutions for our industry. Joint ventures with these groups are quite common, and they do solve problems. A current example is the formation of a working group that is examining the potential for industrial CO2 carbon capture, utilization, and storage business opportunities in the southern region. I want to thank our many associate members for lending of their expertise to board matters and for their continued support. Another example is the development of energy profiles in the southern states region. The profiles provide an overview of the changing patterns of energy consumption across the South. This is done on a biennial basis with the Southern States Energy Board partnering with the Kentucky Department of Energy and the U.S. Department of Energy. The 2016 edition of this report serves as a foundation for any discussion on the status of energy resources, policies, and technologies that can build economic development and the quality of life in the region. One thing that we can be certain of: the electric generation portfolios of the southern states region and the United States as a whole are rapidly changing. This year, for the first time, electricity in the South primarily is supplied by the natural gas-fired power plants. And our manufacturing processes continue to consume more energy than other economic sectors. Residential and commercial energy consumption rates also are growing faster than industrial demand, due in part to an increase in population and an abundance of major businesses that are relocating to the southern region. This is good, this is healthy, but it's change that we have to adjust to. And so what do these changes bode for the future? Well, it means the role of states in navigating the energy economy is fraught with issues that will dominate our attention in the next year. Depending on the election and impending court rulings on the Clean Power Plan, we could see many changes to our current interstate electric energy grid system and the energy resource base that will be used to support it. I want to conclude by thanking our many sponsors, especially AEP, SWEPCO, and the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, for their enthusiastic support and extra effort that has made this 56th annual meeting of the Southern States Energy Board such a success. I'll end on a story that I enjoy because it has symbolism to it. As you know, I like to travel to promote Arkansas in industry. It's taken me to Europe, it's taken me to Cuba, it's taken me to China, Japan, but it also took me to Silicon Valley, which gave me an opportunity to promote a lot of the things that we're doing in technology in this state. As I went to Silicon Valley, I realized very quickly they actually didn't want to move to Arkansas. They just simply wanted our talent out there. But I also went through Facebook headquarters. It is a state-of-the-art, modern, new facility that is designed to recruit the top talent. It has amenities on every floor. It's got a park on the top of the building. Everything is just perfect. Chefs on every floor. But as I touched the counter of the facility, I noticed that it was unfinished and unvarnished plywood. And I said, "What'd you do, run out of money?" And they said, "You don't understand the story." And they said that whenever they designed Facebook headquarters, they intentionally left many things unfinished, simply to remind the leadership and everyone at Facebook that their mission is not yet accomplished. And I love symbolism, and to me there's some symbolism there as to the work of the Southern States Energy Board. We've accomplished a great deal, but we'll have many challenges ahead, and our mission is not yet complete. So thank you for your focus, your energy, your enthusiasm for the energy policies of the future. Thank you very much.